These commercials play on my channel because I get the paper. Dear family, it's your cousin P. I just got to the palace. I wasn't gonna do this, but I gotta do this tonight. Podcast 288. What's the difference between a relationship with a friendship with benefits and a relationship, and what is polygamy? Stay tuned. 5 minutes, we finna get it in. All these commercials, I'm gonna let it keep going. Hey, y'all go ahead. Check out the Fall of America, man. Fall of America, the album. Let me clear this off this. Run the street, this on the album, So Black and So Beautiful, man. Fall of America, Fall of America. See me cry, Fall of America. Fall of America. Let's channel everybody in. Let's give it to them for lightness. How y'all feeling out there, dear family? Conquer divine, all original, so you know what's. Give it 6,000 years. Y'all cool, grab the devil, blue eye. They hate looking at the black man with your 2 eyes. I pray all is well out there. We gonna get this podcast rolling. Part 3 is part 3. What's the difference between a friendship with benefits and a relationship? What is polygamy? Stand before the people. Blood on your meat, blood on the carpet, blood on your feet. Capitalize on black targets that look like me. Hire me to kill me. Nick, rest in peace. They seen God in the soldiers, so they stopped his dreams. Prisons and politicians all a part of the team. Judges had our time. Hey King, how about a tag? Hey King, how about to tag? I'm about to tag a few friends. For sure, going to tag them up. This is part 3. Yeah, Satan on the scene. It's time to call it out. Stick your chest out. Just kill a black man, a white man, 4th of July. SoBlackandSoBeautiful.com. I want to thank everybody for their support. Fall of America. Rain on me. Tonight's podcast, part 3. What is the difference between a friendship with benefits and a relationship? What is polygamy? It's part 3. It's going to be 4 parts to this series. I've been getting a lot of responses, man. You know, first and foremost, I want to say this. I'm loving all these channels. I'm going to play my music. I'm going to put it on pause. These commercials being played on my channel, that would mean I'm getting paid. First and foremost, I'm never qualified to speak on anybody's situation. I'm only speaking on experiences or things that I've seen or things that I know, you know. So whatever you hear that comes out of my mouth, that's what I'm speaking on. We're going to get this podcast started shortly. How y'all feeling out there? I want to thank everybody for supporting So Black and So Beautiful, man. You know,
I had about $1,600 I had to made this week that I had to refund back due to didn't have the sizes. And for those who have reached out to So Black and So Beautiful, I want to apologize to you. I haven't had those sizes. Been a lot of 3X's and 4X's. I'll be sure to get those sizes for you on the next round. This podcast is part 3. If you ain't listened to part 1 or part 2, go to my YouTube channel and go check it out. This podcast is titled 288. What's the difference between a friendship with benefits and a relationship? And what is polygamy? We're going to start this podcast in 3 minutes. How y'all feeling out there? I pray all is well with everybody. We living in an hour that you have to be prepared. You have to associate yourself with individuals that's like-minded. And this is only the beginning of the famine. I know they lifting these COVID masses, and that only means that something else is coming. Don't be fooled by who Satan is in this time. So I need y'all to tag a friend right now, because this is going to be explosive. We on in 2 minutes. I'm still tagging right now. I'm tagging as we speak. You could do the same thing. We tagging, baby. Oh, yeah. Let me see now. Okay, I think I tagged enough people. I think I tagged enough people to get this started. In 1 minute, we're going to start the podcast. 1 minute, we're going to start the podcast. The podcast. Is that playing? I want it. Oh, yeah, it is playing.
Peter just to pay Paul, Kern P. And you know that's.
I just got home from the palace, man. I've been, doing my trucking business all day. It's overwhelming, but somebody got to get the job done. My business partners are in Africa, so all the responsibility is on me, and I got to get it in. Now, I want y'all to go listen to part 1, part 2, and part 3. There have been several individuals that strike that. I pray that my words touch you. My words is to make you a critical thinker in this time. As a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I try to be effective in the way where you're growing. I ain't doing no hating. It ain't never been me. I'm only giving knowledge to make you aware, men and women, that we may do better. Or whatever choices you make for your life, as long as you're happy with that choice, then despite what anybody says or feels, that's your business. Because a lot of people are not going to like what you like. A lot of people may not understand what you know. And, that's unfortunate for them, because every tub is on its own bottom. Let's get this podcast started. We talking about relationships. We talking about friends and benefits. In podcast 2, I talked about the difference between relationships, pardon me, friendships with benefits, and the difference between that and a relationship. A relationship is more of a commitment, agreement, and and an obligation. Though both share a very intimate nature in friends with benefits, because before you friends, you're associates. And when you learn one another from associating with each other, learning one another, understanding one another, these are the important measures that have to be taken in order to be successful in your relationships, whatever that relationship may be, or wherever you choose to stop that relationship. You start off as associates and you understand one another. You understand the likes. You know, I always came with identify who you dealing with. And that's a process in associating yourself with one another. And then you have found out that this person is in your best interest or this person is not in your best interest. Whether the person is in your best interest, you elevate it to a friendship and you're learning one another. Sometimes the friendship be so and you know, the connection of a friendship be so genuine that sometimes relationships stop there and you become the best of friends where you confide in one another and you start to look at one another as, you know, my little sister or my big brother or vice versa. You know, life, understand everything in life is a process. And when we indulge in these relationships and you know, they start to grow, understanding that you go from associates, understanding and knowing what each other likes, each other want, what each other's about, and then you grow some type of respect, and then you get into a friendship. And sometimes when you are physically attracted to an individual, 9 times out of 10, um, you become friends with benefits. Now, in the process of that, um, it becomes a little bit more sacred. It becomes a little bit more sacred in this journey to be successful in whatever um, relationship y'all choose to have. And so, um, friendships with benefits, the relationships becomes a little sacred. It becomes a little personal, depending on how you perceive it. It depends on what's your state of mind. Are you strong enough to understand its friendships and a little bit love? And don't get me wrong, to each his own, man. If that's what you choose to do, if that's do your thing. Hey, cousin P, salute you. I ain't qualified to speak on how somebody feel or what somebody should be doing, because right or wrong are creations, you know, and I will get on that shortly. However, as you progress in this relationship with benefits, as I stated, it gets a little bit more personal, it gets a little bit more intimate, and you begin to learn one another. See, life is a process, so we learning and understanding one another as we grow into a relationship where now, after courting for a period of time, we acknowledge that this is the person I want to be with. Well, courting represents learning. Courting represents bringing forth evidence that prove you that I'm worthy to be in your life, either for the rest of your life, or I'm worthy for you to commit yourself to me. So you present evidence in your, you know, from the beginning stages, being just associates, then becoming friends, then becoming friends with benefits, and then the relationship, and then the relationship turns into a marriage. or the relationship may turn into polygamy. We don't know. But these are lateral steps, and I'm just defining relationships, not that you have to accept what I'm saying, but understanding how they work. So courting is you presenting yourself in a court, evidence of who you are, so that you may identify who you're dealing with. Because many of us have been in terrible relationships that have backfired on us. Why? Because we didn't educate ourselves and enough to identify who we dealing with. Then you say, oh, this nigga was a no good nigga. And you say, oh, this woman was this and that and the third. Who fault is that? If you didn't do due diligence and court the individual that you thought was in your best interest. That's why everything is for a protracted period of time. So you make that mistake on the emotional state of mind opposed to the intelligent state of mind. Yeah, things feel good, things smell good, and things feel good. But you got to get out of the emotion of feel good, smell good, and look good and get into what's intelligent, what's logic, what's the right thing to do for your life. See, we always be in a conflict. It be the emotion versus logic be the conflict of interest because the emotion feels so good. But feeling is an illusion. It comes and goes. You know what I'm saying? We got to start sticking with logic. What does this individual bring to the table? What do this individual bring to the table to elevate me as a woman? What do this individual bring? What do this woman bring to the table to elevate me as a man? Equipped to court with purpose and for your future. So understanding the purpose of courting. Courting is friendship. And sometimes it get a little personal and becomes friendship with benefits, which means sex. And by nature, if you're attracted to somebody and you feeling somebody, that energy is so transmittable where you start feeling the person, and then you're having sex with the person, though they the friend. Um, when you become friends, you lock yourself into what is called respect. I know everybody talk about loyalty. Loyalty, once I said in one of my podcasts that loyalty represents an emotion. Everybody talk loyalty. It depends on my loyalty is going to determine what you do to me. As I state all the time, if you do something, if my brother or my cousin or my uncle or anybody that I love touch my daughter. See, I love my family and my loyalty is to my family. But if they violate the principles and go against my principles and do something to touch my daughter, then all the loyalty goes out the window. You see how loyalty is an emotion? So we bind ourselves with respect. You may disagree with me. You may not like me, but you're going to respect me. And we may not get along, but on the principle of fair business, we still gonna handle business. So friendship with benefits has a respect level to it that represents truth. Just being honest. See, in these friendships, you able to be honest. You able to, yeah, I do. I do have friends I talk to, or I do know individuals, because we all just friends. When you able to accept truth, when you are able to accept honesty, you see the representation of the individual off the top. They not playing games. I think many times women get emotionally attached to men, and then they find out that the man is entertaining another woman, and then get upset about it when initially it's been addressed with truth. So this is why I always tell women in situations, Quit trying to define the relationship. Quit trying to define the relationship if you ain't sat down with that man and came to agreement of commitment. See, because once again, we start from associates of meeting one another. And then once we find out that your spirit is good, we go from associates to friends, and then that energy transmits and picks up, and then it comes from friendship to with benefits. Friendship with benefits. And so sometimes friendships with benefits lead to a relationship. But before you get to the relationship part, women get stuck around the friendship with benefits, thinking this is the man for you. Understand process, sister. Understand, and I'm only giving you the knowledge because I teach my daughters this. If a man ain't told you, if you ain't sat down with no man and y'all have committed yourselves that this is going to be a committed relationship, don't you go assuming and guessing this what it is because he make you feel good, or he pay your cell phone bill, or he doing things for you, because man's nature is to entertain a woman, and there's some good dudes out here. But that don't define it as a committed relationship, because initially in the friendship is based on truth. He or she has explained that we're just friends. But the emotional attachment is not governed by your principle. Your emotional attachment is not governed by logic. So you fall in an emotional state of mind and totally forget about the process of having a conversation. Okay, look here. I'm talking to the women now. You feeling this dude a lot more. Look, I want to have a conversation with you. Where you at in our situationship? What are we doing? And come back to the table and let him know where you stand. And he may be prepared for you. He may not be prepared for you. She may be prepared for you. She may not be prepared for you. But at least you give yourself some clarity, room to make another decision on whether or not you want to continue on with this friendship with benefits or this friendship. Is very situationship because it is a situation, because feelings are involved, emotions are involved, and those of us that are responsible to others, you don't want to hurt an individual that you got love for or respect. So it's always important to address the situationship. So, um, my point, and this is part 3. If you haven't listened to part 2 or part 1, go back and listen to it, and you will be in tune with where I'm going with this. And so, the friendship with benefits feel good. It smell good. It look good. You in harmony with somebody, and believe. Energy is so transmittable that he feel what you feel or she feel what you feel. However, circumstantial situations may be blocking the unity. You may not know what it is. Ask the individual, what's going on? He might be, because every life is fighting a fight you have no idea. Men have been subjected to things that women just don't understand, and there's fear within man to go and extend to certain levels that you want to go to. Women have been always abused by not only boyfriends, but have been abused by relatives, and they come with so much pain. They come with so much uncertainty. They come with so much, they skeptical about dealing with you, man. You know what I'm saying? It's because of what they have been subjected to. Yes, this is part 3. It's because what they've been subjected to has affected them in their growth. And when they get with a man, a woman stops her life and takes on the man's life. Whatever the man want to do, how the man want to have sex, where the man want to go, what the man want to eat. And women do that. And then they give us their all, and then we become that no good ass man to them again. So they come in other relationships affected, real hesitant to deal. So you have to understand, brother, if you listening, that you have to come with a different approach because they didn't seen all the games. They didn't seen them all. They know when a motherfucker is disingenuine and a person is genuine. They know if you in their best interest. And let me explain something to you, sister. Money is not the principle of a relationship, although it's a necessity. Money is not the principle of a relationship. What's the principle of a relationship is honesty, truth, things that you are able, things that are tangible. Money is not tangible because when the money is gone, what do you have to sustain the relationship? If the love is gone, what do you have to sustain the relationship? So you have to build your economy, I say, on a strong foundation. The economy represents a relationship. You have to build it on a strong foundation. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't have God, the wisdom and knowledge and understanding of God in your nature, you're going to commit in every relationship the same things that destroyed your relationships. Why? Because you continuously leaning on your own understanding opposed to a different perspective. So you have to want to learn something different so you could do different. It's very important. Now, this is part 3. What's the difference between a friendship with benefits and a relationship? And what is polygamy? So a friendship with benefits is based on the respect. Bless your heart, Queen. Thank you so much, baby. A friendship with benefits is based on respect. It's based on honesty. And when you're engaging with an individual, you start to see their heart. You start to look at their mind. See, the conduct and character is what a man looks at in a woman. He's watching how you dress. He's watching how you rear your kids. He's watching how you conduct yourself in uncomfortable conversations and situations. Are you a tyrant? Are you emotional? Man, look at all these things before he commit to a relationship, sister. We watching how, your practices. We watching them. See, because we don't deal, a lot of men don't deal with the emotional part of anything. They deal with the logic, so it has to make sense. So they're watching how you handle business. Before they put their life in your hand, they're going to identify who you are. So you can't be an emotional tyrant. We don't want that. I'm just telling you from a man's perspective. You have to have balance, which is the key to success. You have to have life experiences to where certain things may happen and you know how to handle it with poise. You know how to handle it with maturity, because the immaturity that comes out is going to bump you back down to just a friend he having benefits with. So you building your credit score as well as the man. Man, talking to the men now. A woman is watching how you handle yourself. Are you a provider, protector, or a maintainer? She want to see the God in you, then she will submit her will to you. I'm going to say that again, dear family. If the woman see the God in you, and the word God means force and power, she sees that you about responsibility, about commitment, about handling your business and making sure that and most important, building her. You don't have to ask the woman to submit to you or to love you. You ain't got to ask for a meal on the table. It's naturally gonna be done for you because that's what you have brought out of her. See, certain women bring certain things out of men, like men bring certain things out of women. It's just by your works. And this is why Jesus say faith is dead without works. All this faith on God is gonna send me some. God ain't gonna send you nothing. Quit with that bull crap talk. God gonna send me a man my way. Listen, it's over 7 billion people on the planet. God ain't got time for you and your relationships. See, it's the God in you that's going to produce what you want. You have to be looking for like-minded people. You have to be intelligent enough to understand what is right, what is wrong for you, and stop leaning on the emotional part of anything. It got to make sense. You can't take no $4 job and your bills is and all your bills is over $2,000 a month. It's unintelligent to do that. So you got to make it make more sense. I can't take that job. I can't take that. I can't deal with that man on that level. Because at some point, relationships, you have to be building economic in your relationship in order to sustain your relationship. What do I mean by that? You have to go in business together to produce residual income for you and your family. Not just working. We got to get away from working and get to ownership. I talk about that on another podcast. But people always say, and enough of going 50-50. In relationships is always 50-50. That's the damn problem. You only putting 50% in a relationship when you should be going 100-100. Both of y'all putting 100 in, you're going to get 100 out. So a lot of relationships fail and don't get past the friendship with benefits to a committed relationship because you put in 50%, he put in 50%. When you need to be putting in 100, he need to be putting in 100, and you're going to get out 100 because they say whatever you put in is what you get out. So understand the nature of what you're doing. All right? Now, closing, polygamy, meaning more than one wife. Listen, sister, I want to say 85% of the population is in polygamy, but we just don't know it. I'm telling you straight up. If the man hasn't matured to a level of consciousness, then the nature he lusts after his lower desires. And every woman that he see is every woman he gonna want to be with. Women tend at a young age, between 15, they start in sexual activities, get all that out their system. Women start very young like men. And at about 28, 30, 35, women start really settling down and being responsible. But they have to go through a phase too. It just so happened that men phases double your phase unless he has a maturity level and a conscious level of treating people how he want to be treated. But 85% of the time, us men has been raised by the street. It's just fortunate that my father put Islam in my life and it gave me a different structure and a different discipline. Why? Cousin Pete, why you got all these goddamn kids? Oh, man. I can tell you why. Y'all see my kids on Facebook. I post all my children. I'm a part of every child I have life. From the time they came out their mother's womb. I never abandoned. I never neglected. I have grown to be the father that I am now, but it took me a long time. It took me a long time because the streets had a hold of me because I was getting a lot of goddamn money. That's why I say in my raps, the streets talk what they say about Cousin P, not a motherfucker, because I was doing my thing in them streets. Anywhere you go, you ask about your Cousin P. They'll tell you what you, hey, if you want to know a lot about a man, talk to his baby mama. She gonna say that nigga, this, he might be popping his collar, but the baby mama gonna say this nigga stayed with me. He was in my house, drive my car, and you know she gonna give it to him. The truth gonna come out. Well, identifying, yes, you have a beautiful. Yeah, identifying who a man is. You see the works of his who how he is with his children. I have fell out with a lot of my children. My oldest daughter, to be specific, but I love her to death. I love her to death. And our relationship is better than what it was. But as if you listen to my song called 104 Children, every word that I spit on that verse, Master P was like, damn, boy, that shit powerful, boy. Because everything I spit is real. It was based on a true story, um, and 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 guidance. And so sometimes as fathers and as mothers, we have to humble ourselves to identify weaknesses and build it with strength. And one of the things about me was I was too damn structured and too damn disciplined, like a military dude in the military. And a lot of my kids hid a lot of shit from me for a lot of years. I know a lot of shit that was going on, but I was too strong. So I eased on back from that aggressiveness. And I started to allow my child to be comfortable with me. And now they tell me everything. And I don't judge none of them. I give them my opinion. They could take it or let it alone. I pray for them and we move forward. If I can help them in any manner, that's what I do. You know, and this is why when you look at my podcast, you see me representing my children in the best of manners. But it's very important for me as a father to do something with my kids, all my bring unity. That's what So Black is so beautiful and So Brown and so beautiful represents. This is why I created. Yeah, something popped off, but I'm back on. But I'm back on. You know, but due to can you see me? So you know, I now the relationships are much better. And my point of saying all that is that identifying who you dealing with, and you identify the person through their works, and that's very important. This is part 3. Um, Now getting to polygamy. What is polygamy? It's having more than one relation, being in more than one relationship with an individual. Um, Some people define that as being wrong. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, but one wife is good for you, just one. He never said get 2 wives. He never said get 3 wives. He said one wife is good for you. However, if you build in a nation, the best supporter of a nation is the woman that helped the man. And this is why she's called the help meet. To help the man meet his obligation as God so he could give her heaven. It's very important that you understand maturity opposed to ignorance. The maturity thinking of a godly man and the nature of himself is not to misuse women. Men with the knowledge of self is not to misuse women, not to abuse women in a polygamous relationship, but to elevate and support and build to help God's people. You could take it or let it alone. Because if we talk about polygamy, every prophet and messenger of God had more than one wife, including Jesus with his 7 concubines. So if we talking knowledge of self opposed to talking ignorance, if you lack the understanding, if you ain't read, then sit down. Go study to show yourself approved, then come back to the table and talk. But understanding what polygamy is, understanding what a relationship, how to progress the relationship, the process of a relationship. If you don't understand the process, sit down. If you just, you know, um, if you just at this level and someone at this level, what they doing don't make them wrong because you just don't understand. I could tell you, just like I could say how much the earth weigh. You don't know because you ain't studied. The earth weighs 616 tons, followed by 21 ciphers. That don't make me no better than you. I just know something that you don't know, but you just got to go study it. But a lot of people will see situations and deem them to be wrong when you don't understand the circumstances of the relationship, or you don't understand the knowledge of what's being done. Or maybe God has blessed you, or, you know, so we have to start being very mature. We have to start being very intelligent. We all have our independent thinking on what something should be. If it worked for you, salute you. But don't, where you at in your life, that's where you at. Dang, everybody ain't got to be where you at. And where I'm at in my life is where I'm at. If you lack the understanding on what I do or how I do it, that's not my problem. And it shouldn't be nobody else's problem. With that said, dear family, this podcast is 288. Go back and check out part 1, part 2. This is what's the difference between a relationship with benefits, a friendship with benefits, and a relationship, and what is polygamy. Um, if you have any questions for me, write them down. If I said something that you want me to clarify, write it in the notes. Other than that, um, go back and hear part 1, part 2, and this is part 3. We actually come with a part 4 because we got to deal more on the polygamy, and we got to deal more on a husband and wife. And I told you about the process of a relationship. You start as associates. You meet one another. You greet one another. You exchange numbers with one another. And in this stage of understanding one another, you're talking on the phone. You're growing into a friends to be friends. And in the process of being friends, you grow a respect for one another. You grow a like for one another. And sometimes the emotional connection turns into benefits, friendship with benefits. The benefits represent respect. It represents I'm feeling your energy, you feeling my energy. The feeling is mutual because naturally human beings are attracted to one another. And then once you have um, courted for a period of time, a relationship represents a commitment. But you have to go through every process to get to the stages. Some of y'all choose to be so damn emotional about everything, you want to skip everything, and then you found out that this dude was a homosexual, or then you find out that this sister had AIDS when you didn't want to listen. They go through the process because when you're learning somebody, you want to find out about you when you courting somebody in a friendship with benefits and they want to take it up a notch to a relationship, you got to identify who you dealing with. That just don't stop at them. You got to, what they family about, what the kids about, how you earn your residual income. What are you doing before you commit yourself inside of a relationship, because when you commit, you are responsible and obligated to her pain, his pain, her family, your family, and you want to put yourself in the best of manners. This is why I say use your intelligence and get away from the feel good. So quit trying to, you like instant oatmeal, let, grandmama used to cook for 2 days to make the meal good. You want to put the shit in the microwave, and then you think you done made you a real meal, the instant gratification type of things. We have to stop that. Quit doing that. You're gonna socialize, then you're gonna make grow friends depending on how they make you feel. And then if the um how can I put it? If you're feeling him, it's a word I'm looking for, is gonna come. It may grow with friends with benefits, because naturally the opposite attracts. So, and then from that point on, you're courting and figuring each other out. What you like, or you looking at his temper, you looking at her temper, you looking at how she handled things, you looking at how he handled things. You looking at the immaturities that you need to build on. So you always having conversations to try to build each other up. Sometimes people just keep failing. You still got to go at it if you have respect for it. But some women and men always want to jump to a damn relationship when you got so many flaws. If you're responsible to yourself, you will court the individual. And the Holy Quran and I want to oblige Mama teaches for a protracted period of time, at least a year, courting and figuring it out. But 9 times out of 10, it may be circumstantial why things don't progress. It may be a behavior pattern that he sees or she sees. She may see that you, brother, you broke and all you want to do is play video games in her house all damn day with her kids. Man, the women going for that today. You got to get up and handle business and execute their family. You know what I'm saying? So, it's certain things that certain people uh, are are committed to within themselves and their principles, values, and morals. Nevertheless, the commitment represents an obligation, and you better be, and then you in a relationship. Then a relationship escalates to probably a marriage, and when it becomes a marriage, ooh, good Lord, that is a contract. Well, let me say this: the nature of a man and a woman is to be in unity, which represents marriage. And that marriage is so on a level of God Himself that not only is it an obligation or a commitment, but it's a lock and key. And there's dissatisfactions in marriages as well, because people rush to judgment on certain things. People start to see traits, and people get dissatisfied, and dissatisfaction brings about a change. But that podcast is tomorrow, marriage, and I'm qualified to speak on that. So y'all stay tuned for tomorrow or the next day for part 4. I'm only doing 4 parts. So we're going to speak on polygamy and marriage tomorrow or the next day. It's your cousin P. If you have any questions for me, type them in. If you want to revisit this podcast, rewind it and share it to your page. This podcast is titled, What's the Difference Between a Friendship with Benefits and a Relationship, and What is Polygamy? All right? You have any questions for me? If you want to come on camera, I'll bring you on camera to ask me the question. Feel free to do as you please, dear family. I ain't scared of you by a long shot. You know, my duty and my responsibility to my people is to civilize the uncivilized, teach them the truth, whether it affect me or not. And as a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, Jesus said Elijah will come to restore all things new. My obligation and my commitment is real because it runs in my spirit and my veins, man. I love what I do. I'm not perfect by a long shot, but I tell you this, I'm solid as hell. I would never backdoor you, never disrespect anybody. I would always treat people how I want to be treated. Boy, I tell you, when you cross lines and you deviate from the agreements that I'm governed by, it's a different human being that come up out of me. You could take it or let it alone. I don't care what you think. That's how you should be with all things. Not just some things, but all things. Anybody have any questions they wanna ask me about this relationships? Anybody want to come on camera? Let me see. I got a few family members on here that I be that's my family members, and they be having a lot to say. Yeah, come on camera and say it. Scary mouth. Yeah, yeah. Come on now. Tell me that you want to come on camera. Oh, now that's too much. Like I'm too shy or too bashful. So you gonna keep yourself hidden. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday. It's about my son's birthday today. Y'all say happy birthday to Zion, man. We had a wonderful party at the house. Um, and happy birthday to my cousin Hassan. And my son's birthday is tomorrow, my oldest son. Everybody February babies, man. Anybody got anything to say? I'm going once, going twice. I'll give you 2 minutes. If you got something to say, write it in. Excuse me, I'm gonna start bringing people on. Let me see. I'm inviting people who want to come on. Anybody want to come on? If you got your camera, it says bring you on camera, so I'm bringing you on. I'm sending an invite. I'm sending invites. Don't get scared now. I'm sending invites. Mm-hmm. Everybody spooked out their boots. Oh yeah, I'm sending invites. Happy birthday to your son. I appreciate the love, sweetie. I'm sending invites. Oh, Ed, you want to come on? Oh, they say Addie. I guess somebody gonna come on. They say Addie. Let's find out who coming on. I don't know if it's telling me to add it or they adding. You know what I'm saying? If you hear me, hang up and then do it again, and I know that you're trying to come on. Because if I press that button, it might click you off. No answer from the live video. Okay. 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 Anybody want to come on? Anybody have any questions? If not, I want to salute y'all. I see y'all in a bit. It's your cousin P.